People have asked me over the years why I'm so interested in LGBT rights as a married straight woman, and to be honest, I've always found that to be an odd question. I really never considered my sexual orientation to be a needed element in the support of others, but I do know that my interest in LGBT rights came from my upbringing. I was raised in a very accepting family, so discrimination was not an option. However, simple acceptance is a lesser degree of the trait that I learned to practice in order to connect with those who need it most. I'm talking about empathy. It is empathy that positively guides our words and actions even when the situations do not directly affect us. I got an incredible lesson on empathy one pivotal day of my teaching career in 1997. And a PS on the bottom of a student note is all it took. That one postscript on a sloppily written yet intricately folded note redirected my thinking and my role as a teacher in ways that I never could have anticipated. In November of that year, a very quiet and sensitive student handed me a note on his way out of class, and his directive was to read this later. I was intrigued since the look on his face indicated that this note was not a matter of frivolity. His expression was uneasy, indicating the weight of the message. After teaching 2 more periods, I finally had a chance to read the note that had occupied my thoughts for the previous 86 minutes. He started off saying that he enjoyed my class and had begun to see me as a trusted adult. He hoped that I would be his teacher in junior or senior year. It was sweet enough, benign without being overly cloying, so I wondered about the timid nature with which he handed the note to me. Then I saw the reason at the bottom of the page. P.S. I'm gay. The supplement to the note, the paradoxical postscript declaration, was a catalyst for a paradigm shift in my thinking, consequently my teaching. This quiet student who politely sat in my classroom for 3 months completing his work and affably nodding was struggling in ways I could not have imagined. The difficulty of the Puritan poetry I was teaching was nothing compared to the difficulty of living a life while being weighted down by doubt and fear. The next morning I went to his homeroom and called him into the hallway. He looked even more nervous than he did when he handed me the note, so I got right to what I wanted to say. Congratulations. Then I threw my arms in the air and hugged him. He began to well up. I told him that being who he was should not be a postscript, it should be a script. He laughed, I laughed, and then we talked. It was as if the dam had broken and he could finally express what he had been trying to hide so diligently for years. It was a release for him, and it was a wake-up call for me. It opened my eyes to the burdensome and tangible items that my students carry to class each day. They are items that weigh more than the ones I can physically see. They carry insecurity, they carry worry, they carry rejection, they carry secrets. From that point on, I made sure that I started to mention some of the secret intangibles that I carried as a high school student, because there were many. Insecurity and self-doubt were the most prominent. But then I also started including anecdotes of my BGU, or AKA my big gay uncle, Bob Hawke. I talked about his career in the film industry, his life in big cities, and our shared love of anything Broadway. Each time I relate stories about my uncle, I could see the faintest hint of a knowing smile on some students' faces. They were usually the ones who came to me later for advice on teen life or to come out. Since that day in 1997, I have had the privilege of being the coming out teacher for numerous students in my school. Some were students I had in class, some were kids who just heard about me. Some were students, some began to ramble freely because the floodgates were finally opened. But as each conversation progressed, I could see an invisible weight finally being lifted. It was as if each of them had been wearing a heavy, wet wool coat that constricted their movement and made them uncomfortable. By the time each meeting was finished, the coat was on the floor. I still have the note. I also have 18 years worth of wool coats on my floor, and I'm ready to collect some more. Thank you so much.